Well, my first week of training is in the books, and it went pretty well. Adjusting to altitude can be pretty rough, especially here in Iten where there are hills everywhere. So even an easy run can be pretty rough if you don't slow down enough. In this video, I will take you over the process of altitude adaptation and my strategy, and also I will show you my first week of training and how I progress until your body already needs to adapt to 1000 meters of elevation gain.
Looking at this table, you see that at 1000 meters of elevation, there's already a 12% loss of oxygen saturation in the air. And at 2000 meters, it's even more, 22%. Iten lies around 2300 meters of elevation. Well, next, looking at the graph where VO2 max is compared to the VO2 max at sea level, we see it doesn't decline as much as the oxygen depletes, but still, at 2000 meters, we have a more than 10% decline in VO2 max.
For altitude training, I would say the optimum lies between 1600 meters of elevation and 2400 meters of elevation. But this also depends if you're a track athlete or marathon runner. For a track athlete, let's say a 1500 meter runner, you need to do some speed work, and probably this is better around 1600 to 2000 meters or below 2000 meters. Because there is less oxygen in the air, your speed work or fast intervals get lactic already pretty fast at altitude. For a marathon runner, it's maybe better to train above 2000 meters of elevation gain. It doesn't really matter that you can do a lot of speed work because you need to build a lot of endurance and do a lot of slow work, of course. For most people, it would take at least 2 weeks to adapt properly to the altitude. It also depends how high you are, of course, but I would recommend to not push hard for the first days. If you are going on a training camp for more than 3 weeks, you get full adaptation probably. If you're doing, for example, 2 weeks or shorter, your body starts to adapt, but the adaptation won't be full or optimal. I would recommend to take at least 5 days of easy runs before you start to introduce speed work. Probably you want to build up some endurance anyway, so if you're taking 2, 3, 4, or let's say even 5 weeks for an altitude training camp, then it doesn't matter that the speed work comes in a bit later. But if you rush too much with speed work or hard interval sessions, you might get burned out in the first week already. If you do want to do some speed work in the first 5 days, I would suggest you do some short hill repeats with a lot of rest in between. This makes it quite an easy session, but you're still activating the neuromuscular system. And last, at altitude, it can be pretty tough to tell which pace or what effort you should be running during your interval or tempos. Therefore, I would suggest if you have the opportunity to test for lactate. Because during my tempos, I already reckoned that my heart rate was pretty okay and the tempo felt comfortable, but my lactate levels went up quite a bit faster than at sea level. So I was putting in a higher effort than I thought. If you don't have the opportunity to test for lactate, I would surely take off in the beginning or in the first 2 weeks 15 seconds or maybe even 20 seconds of your regular pace. And if you start to progress and adapt to the altitude, you can maybe take off like 10 seconds instead of the 15 or 20 from your regular pace. But start off quite slow, I would say, the first 2 weeks. Okay, let's dive into the training schedule for the first week. A small notion, I'm a trained athlete, so don't feel the need to compare directly. In general, we train early in the morning from around 6:30 to 7 and again at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. We start very early because the sun goes down around 6:30 here in Kenya, so therefore we want to do the first session quite early. Well, on Monday I did an easy run of 60 minutes in the morning and again an easy run of 45 minutes in the evening. For the next day I only took a longer run of 75 minutes in the morning. On Wednesday I did some hill repeats, 13 in total, and again in the afternoon 45-minute easy run. On Thursday morning I went for a longer bike ride for 3.5 hours and then in the afternoon I took rest. On Friday I did some threshold effort, 1400 meter reps 5 times, in the afternoon 45 minutes easy. On Saturday I did a long run on Moywe Road with friends with 10 km easy and then 8k aggressive. In the afternoon I did a 30-minute easy session. And last, on Sunday, I went for a 60-minute run in the morning and in the evening I took some rest and I went watching later the day to the Eldoret Half Marathon. As you can see, there were only 2 sessions on the schedule. On Friday, the threshold effort, and on Saturday, a progressive long run, which was not even that long for me. In the end, I ended up running 125 kilometers on the first week, which is pretty solid. That will increase also a bit in the next weeks. So, how will I progress to the second and the third week? In my second week, I already start to introduce some more sessions. Tuesday, threshold effort. On Wednesday, some intervals. And in the weekend, I will put in a double threshold effort, which I do at home as well. My third week, I will start to have a regular week here for the third, fourth, and fifth week. It will look a bit like on Tuesday, I will do a double threshold session with like longer intervals in the morning and shorter, faster intervals in the evening. On Thursday, I will join the fartlek session with the Kenyans. No session in the evening, just easy running. And on Saturday or Sunday, I will do some tempos again or a progressive long run. I'm looking forward to the next week of training here. If you have any questions about the training schedule or about adaptation, put them down in the comments. And as always, if you still go out today, have fun and get on the run.